4 parishes. 22 people were arrested, and we'll have more.
It's that taxing time of the year again. Today we're going to talk with a tax expert who's got some great tips on saving your money. We'll tell you what they are.
And on People Who Care, we'll meet a man who's keeping the memory of over 30,000 Vietnam vets alive. We'll have his story in just a few minutes.
Jan, you know, people have been complaining about the weather because you never know what it's going to do from one day to the next. It could be very cold one day, and then like today, it gets kind of warm and humid outside. Meteorologist Ed Duranczyk is here with the latest. Ed?
Yeah, this rain and weather just keeps coming back to the Ark-La-Tex, and it's not really going to be moving out too quickly. Tonight, tomorrow, we'll still see this muggy weather, and things will change then after that, but the rain is here to stay, and we'll give you more news about that later.
Wow.
All right, thanks.
Ed. If you are a burglary victim or have been one, the Shreveport Police Department may have something for you that you thought was long gone. There's about $20,000 worth of suspected stolen goods just waiting to be claimed. More than $100,000 worth of stolen items are already back where they belong. Police confiscated this stuff when investigators broke up a burglary ring and arrested almost 24 suspects. Police say the thieves committed their crimes in at least 4 northwest Louisiana parishes, but some were connected with burglaries as far away as Dallas, Texas, and Fayetteville, Arkansas.
We do anticipate additional charges and additional arrests as a number of suspects still remain under investigation, not only by the Shreveport Police Department, Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office, but as well as the 2 federal agencies.
Police say the thieves traded their hot merchandise for drugs. A drug investigation connected with that case is continuing.
And police in Arlington, Texas have found the car of a man murdered December 30th in a Ruston motel. The 1987 Camaro IROC Z was found in the parking lot of an apartment complex. Investigators probing the death of Sherlyn R. May are currently en route to Texas to take a closer look at the car and search for clues. A 9-year-old girl is in critical condition at Willis-Knighton Medical Center after being hit by a truck this morning on Linwood near the Caddo Parish line. State police say Jessica Bales and some friends were crossing the road to catch their school bus when she was struck by a Bronco driven by 53-year-old Philip Hancock of Shreveport. Hancock says he didn't see the girl because of dense fog. None of the other children were hurt. State police say the accident was unavoidable and no charges will be filed.
Beginning March 1st, there'll be a new board of commissioners for 911. Today, the Caddo Parish Commission passed an ordinance to change the board to 5 city and 2 parish representatives. It added the restriction that none of the members can be a city or parish official. In the meantime, Shreveport's Chief Administrative Officer, Judy Ferguson, says the setup of 911 is still on schedule. Fire and police dispatchers are expected to move into their new facility January 25th, and after that, there will be 60 days of testing the operation.
The 2 things we've got to do is train the call takers and make sure the database is accurate, and then we're ready to cut over. So we could delay a month if the database looks like it's bad, but we certainly aren't looking at summer before we cut over. We're still looking at March, maybe April, definitely in the springtime.
911 dispatchers for the Caddo Sheriff's Department are also making final arrangements for the startup. Dispatchers say they'll begin testing their operation in early February. Today is the 25th anniversary of the first Surgeon General's report on the dangers of smoking. The current Surgeon General, Dr. C. Everett Koop, says a smokeless society is now possible. John Bascom reports.
25 years after the first report linking cigarette smoking to lung cancer, Surgeon General C. Everett Koop says there's been a revolution in smoking behavior.
Nearly half of all living adults who ever smoked have quit.
But the good news was followed by bad.
In 1985, cigarette smoking was responsible for approximately 390,000 deaths, more than 1 of every 6 deaths in the United States, or more than 1,000 deaths each day.
Women, blacks, and the poorly educated still smoke more, and young girls are starting at an earlier age. 30 years ago, Americans heard a different tune.
You'll feel better.
Did you say I'll feel better smoking, Philip Morris?
Yes, you'll feel better.
But while cigarette boxes danced across TV screens, Dr. Ernst Winder and his associates were already documenting the link between smoking and cancer in the Journal of the American Medical Association. He says doctors didn't notice.
Most doctors really did not become very much concerned about smoking as a cause of disease.
Today, the Tobacco Institute is still denying the connection, with newspaper ads saying enough is enough. Spokesman Walker Merriman says a recent poll finds people don't want their smoking rights curtailed.
A clear majority of the people who expressed an opinion in this poll say we don't want more bans and we don't want more restrictions.
But the Surgeon General refuted the claims of the Tobacco Institute that the anti-smoking movement is an assault on the rights of smokers.
Every day in this country, 2/3 of this population is assaulted by the 1/3 that smokes, and that assault can be lethal.
Dr. Koop's silver anniversary warning on the dangers of smoking has added one more: stroke. He says smoking is to blame for half of all strokes in people under 65. John Bascom, ABC News, Washington.
Will the official status of a charity hospital change its care for the needy in our area? Administrators there say no way. Dr. Darrell Williams, Dean of the Medical School, says LSU Medical Center has lost about 1/3 of its funding due to budget cuts, and something must be done. A study looking into the advantages of becoming a nonprofit corporation has been done to see if it can help.
The way we get new buildings and new equipment is to go through the appropriations process and to make requests through the university.
And that process can literally take up to months, sometimes even up to a year, and that costs LSUMC money and people. Nonprofit would mean Williams could make payroll and personnel decisions here instead of going through a state appropriations committee. Now, all of this has to be considered and approved by the legislature, and that may take anywhere, again, up to a year. Williams says LSU is still committed to indigent care with or without nonprofit status. This is not the only option the medical school is considering, and Dr. Williams says right now it's all preliminary. More layoffs for state workers. The Romer administration says another 2,100 people have to go. So far, 2,200 state jobs have been eliminated through layoffs and attrition. Department heads in state offices have been told they have to make the final cuts by the end of this June. Last year, the legislature approved a workforce reduction of 4,300 employees.
Jan, you, along with thousands of other people in the Ark-La-Tex, may have already gotten an unpleasant surprise in your mailbox.
That's right. I got mine a couple of weeks ago.
It's your 1988 tax forms. Yuck. Seeing as how there are only two sure things in life, death and taxes, and how it doesn't hurt to plan ahead for either, we've got some professional tips for you today. Steve Richards is a tax partner with the Seidman and Seidman BDO. He joins us. Steve, thanks very much for being with us. You know, April 15th is coming along much faster than any of us would like. Is there anything we need to be doing right now to prepare for that day?
Well, Liz, I think probably the most important thing you can do now is start getting your records together. I think people have said that depending on the difficulty of your tax return, it could take you from 3 to 10 hours just to get your records in order.
Good grief. Mine are scattered all over the house. It could take days, maybe even months. What about IRAs? Can we still set one up?
That's the last tax planning opportunity you have that you can put in place this year, which will still help you for 1988, Liz. If you take out an IRA and make your payment by April 15th, you'll be able to take that as a deduction on your return, provided you meet the other tests.
Now, you told me something very interesting a few minutes ago, is that the IRS is pretty good about granting extensions on filing, but just because you get an extension on filing doesn't mean you have an extension on paying your taxes.
That's true, and that really is one of the planning things you should be doing now. If you've sat down and poised your pencil and figured out that you're going to have to pay Uncle, it's probably advisable to start trying to put a little money away so that when April 15th comes, even though you may extend your return, you're still going to have to send them a check.
Now, Steve, if people have made a complete mess of this year, if they've already written it off, is there anything they can do right now to start preparing for 1989?
The planning, again, would be more or less similar to what I've just said. In other words, you need to start doing good record keeping. You need to look at whether it's to your advantage to itemize your deductions for the upcoming year or whether you're better off taking the standard deduction, things of that nature. So there certainly is a great deal of planning for 1989 that can be made because the year's just begun. All right. Steve Richards from Seidman and Seidman BDO, thank you very much for being with us. Well, last night we told you some Shreveport police cars and other city vehicles were on the road with out-of-date inspection stickers. Well, tonight those new stickers are on the cars. Fleet Services Manager Gene Cisco says from now on he'll be using his own computer to keep track of city vehicles that have expired inspection stickers. Until now, the city relied on the drivers to tell them about the expired inspections, and you and I still have the usual grace period of 30 days after the expiration date.
Shreveport police need your help in finding the man who robbed Commercial National Bank last November. Crime Stoppers will pay you up to $1,000 for information leading to an arrest in this crime.
Shreveport police are still looking for the bandit who robbed the Commercial National Bank at 1031 Shreveport-Barksdale Boulevard. The crime happened on the morning of November 29th. Police say a man walked into the bank and handed a teller a note demanding cash. He kept his right hand in his pocket, and the employee thought he might have a gun. The suspect got the money and left the bank on foot. He's described as an Hispanic man, about 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighing around 150 pounds. He has black hair and was wearing a light blue jacket and brown hat. Police have few leads in this case.
This marks the second time this location has been robbed. Police have few leads in this case or any other case. Crime Stoppers will pay you up to $1,000 for information leading to the arrest or the grand jury indictment for the persons or persons involved in this or any other felony crime. You can call Crime Stoppers in Shreveport at 226-5711 or in Bossier City at 424-4100. Remember, Crime Stopper does not want your name, just your information.
Now here's a look at the news from around the nation and the world this evening. British investigators are considering the possibility that both engines failed on the 737 that crashed in central England Sunday. The pilot of the British Midlands Airways jet was questioned today about why he shut down the plane's right engine when it was the left one that caught fire. The crash killed 44 people and injured 82.
Worried Mexicans lined up at gas pumps today as oil workers struck refineries across the country. The shutdowns came after the head of the Oil Workers Union was arrested in a bloody gun battle that left one federal agent dead.
And the Supreme Court today heard arguments on whether mentally retarded people can be given the death sentence. Attorneys for 32-year-old Johnny Paul Penry argued that he has the reasoning capacity of a 7-year-old. Penry was sentenced to death for the 1979 rape and murder of a Texas woman.
And President Reagan delivers his primetime farewell address tonight. The speech will air at 8 o'clock our time. The White House Chief of Staff says Reagan will talk about the changes that have happened in the nation and the world during his 8 years in office. Well, it's been a fixture at the Louisiana State Fairgrounds since 1912, but today it started coming down. The grandstand no longer serves a purpose and is deteriorating so badly that fairgrounds officials were afraid someone could get hurt. The good news is that in the future, the grandstand site will be used for new exhibit buildings. Contractors expect to have the whole thing down and cleaned up in 2 to 3 weeks.
And still to come on People Who Care, a living memorial to Vietnam veterans.
But right after the break, meteorologist Ed Duranczyk will tell us about those rain clouds. Stay with us.
Hello, I'm Jerry Boughton, and I want to tell you about an exciting event that's occurring here at First National Bank. We're changing our name to Premier Bank. That's because we've joined forces with Louisiana's leading banks to bring you statewide banking convenience with fresh new ideas and modern banking services.
From one end of the state to the other, the Premier name will mean you're right at home.
Whether you're cashing a check in Lake Charles
Or checking your balance in Shreveport.
Even when you're in Lafayette.
Or New Iberia, the Premier name will be there too.
We'll be with you from the banks of the Ouachita River in Monroe and West Monroe
to the winding bayous of South Louisiana.
There will be new and innovative thinking from the familiar faces you've come to know here. And our commitment to the Shreveport-Bossier communities will remain unchanged. So join with us as we usher in this new era of convenience and service as your Premier Bank.
We're Premier, we're Louisiana, and we're still Shreveport-Bossier.
Times are racing toward noon and the lunch hour break.
Dinner time at your place, but there's nothing to make.
Here's something fast and better that'll ease all your trouble. Sonic's Brown Bag Special, that famous triple double.
2 burgers, 2 fries, 2 Cokes, really fine. 2 meals in one for $3.99. 2 burgers, 2 fries, 2 Cokes.
So divine.
A sack full of Sonic on a fish every time. Brown Bag it, you can do it. Get yourself a Sonic and Brown Bag it.
The Brown Bag Special at Sonic.
Townsends in-store floor sample and warehouse reductions means big savings for you. Due to the excess inventory accumulated in our warehouse, Townsends has taken drastic markdowns on every item in our showrooms. Save a whopping 15 to 70% store-wide on all bedroom, lazy-boy recliners, sleepers, living room, dining room. Nothing has been spared from Townsends floor sample and warehouse reductions. Many items are one-of-a-kind, floor sampler, or we just plain have too much. So hurry to Townsends Furniture and save big money.
Parts of the Ark-La-Tex really had lots of rain today.
Yeah, some places half-inch, inch, and maybe even 2 inches. Some of those heavier showers and thunderstorms. Promised some of this rain, but Shreveport, man, we've been lucky so far. We've gotten away with very little. Same with Texarkana and Marshall. But it's on the way. Trust me, 48 degrees the low here in Shreveport in the morning, 45 degrees El Dorado. A little bit warmer to the south as we start working into the warmer air. 50 degrees for Lake Charles, 54 for Houston. Still a tad chilly up in the Panhandle, 34 degrees in Amarillo. Here's the current readings. You can see how much it's warmed up during the daytime. 63 degrees, St. Augustine, Texas. And temperature reading came from Horace Wilburn. 65 is where Horace said his daytime high topped out. 50 was as low this morning, had a little bit of fog. 65 in Haynesville, Louisiana. Jeannie Herring reported that for her high. 51 for the low and a little bit of fog. In Idabel, Oklahoma, 58 degrees from Del Bonner. Daytime high was 59 for Mr. Bonner, and this morning started out at about 44 degrees. So very warm air is moving into the Ark-La-Tex, and with that, we'll start to see some shower activity. Last night, clouds rolled back in very quickly with a lot of moisture and some rain activity, though the heaviest was in southeast Texas into north central Louisiana, clipping parts of Natchitoches and all the way over to Ruston. And these showers and thunderstorms are now moving towards Mississippi and Alabama. Looking at Skyscan 3, we can see this is the initial line that's now moved eastward, just barely moving out of Monroe. Here's another little wave of rain now starting to head eastward across the Ark-La-Tex, and then another wave of rain and showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two in that shower area. So we're going to be watching this very closely. Over the next 24 hours, we're going to have a very wet period of weather. Here's the way things look on the surface once again. Cause for all this moisture, the influx of moisture, is a warm front's now surging northward into the Ark-La-Tex. With that, it's added the moisture ingredient. There's a lot of it out there right now. And frontal system up to the north here is going to tap some of that. And that means maybe showers, some thunderstorms will develop prior to that frontal system passing through during the late afternoon and evening. You may see a hefty storm or two. Tonight, very warm, muggy, 58, maybe 60 for the nighttime low, so it's going to be a warm night tonight. Teens up in the Panhandle of Texas. As far as our weather for tomorrow, frontal system passes through. Winds shift from the south at about 12 to 18 to the north and northeast at about 15 to 20, 25 miles per hour. And there's some chilly air back behind it. Daytime highs will be in the 60s prior to the front. 60 this evening with some showers tonight. Low about 58 with rain and showers increasing, mostly cloudy, more rain in the morning, and then by afternoon, should be about 62 degrees with some showers and thunderstorms. Winds shifting from the south to the northeast, and we'll have more details about all this wet stuff at 6 o'clock.
Good. Thanks.
Thanks, Ed. Coming up on the Ark-La-Tex Gardener, some tips on planting trees.
And speaking of trees, we'll tell you why a Minnesota man wants to plant 30,000 of them, so stay with us.
Want to buy a Jeep cheap? Then buy now during Jeep Week at Bill Hanna Jeep-Eagle 2511 Linwood. It's one incredible week of factory-approved discounts on every Jeep in stock. These are drastic price reductions, so low in fact, we cannot advertise our specific Jeep Week prices. But every Jeep is clearly marked with our cheap Jeep Week sale price. Choose from the largest Jeep selection, and the state Bill Hanna Jeep Week means $1,000 rebate, super low 7.7 finance, even 72-month financing available on Cherokee during Jeep Week at Bill Hanna Jeep-Eagle 2511 Linwood, the #1 Jeep dealer in Louisiana.
Here's news from the three-state area. Baton Rouge residents got quite a scare this morning. A chlorine leak at a water station there formed a poisonous vapor cloud. Several people were evacuated, and others were told to shut all their windows and vents. Luckily, no one was hurt.
Arkansas authorities say they have a lot of ground to cover. They're looking for a Russellville man who has been missing since Christmas. His truck and clothes were found near the Ozark National Forest. Officials say they'll search all 40,000 acres in the park.
And Texas lawmakers are trying to decide what to do about the state's high number of school dropouts. More than $100 million in state money has been set aside to deal with the issue. Lawmakers say they'll use all of it if they have to bring that number down. And Texans who want to keep up with what's going on in their legislature can call a toll-free number to get all the latest information. To find out where legislation stands in the House or the Senate, you can call 1-800-252-9693. That number is open from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. Mondays through Thursdays, and from 8 until 5 on Fridays.
Usually at this time, Gwen Campbell is here with People Who Care. Well, today Gwen's busy working on our series about handicap accessibility in our schools. We'll have that story tonight and tomorrow at 6 o'clock. So today on People Who Care, we want to tell you about a man who's building a living memorial for Vietnam veterans.
To most Americans, the solemn granite Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. was a fitting, if overdue, tribute to the men and women who fought and died in Vietnam. But Jeffrey Steiner, a Marine veteran who served in Vietnam in 1967 and 68, wanted another kind of memorial, a living one.
Lord, I pray that you'll bless all our hurting veterans, Father God, and their families. Touch them today. Be with them. Thank you, Lord.
Since 1980, Jeff has been planting trees on a 100-acre piece of land near Cushing, Minnesota.
I was thinking about Vietnam, and it was right over in this spot here when it happened, and I remember I was crying, and it was just so full of pain and whatever, and I decided right then, maybe I can do something. I'll plant a tree, one for every dead and missing, that depicts the living. I felt this is something small I could do.
More than 58,000 U.S. servicemen died in the Vietnam War. So far, Jeff has planted over 30,000 trees, halfway to his goal. Last week, Jeff almost lost the land and his dream when a local bank threatened to foreclose on his property. But just a half hour before the auction, a corporation and several chapters of Vietnam Veterans of America came up with the money to pay the debt on the land. In so doing, they have helped keep Jeff Steiner's dream alive, as well as the memory of the men and women he stubbornly refuses to let die.
It's a nice tribute. Up next, Winfield, Louisiana goes Hollywood.
And our Ark-La-Tex Gardener will show us the best way to plant trees. Stay with us.
There are still some things in life you can depend on year after year. One birthday every 12 months. The love of family and friends. And the continuing strength of Commercial National Bank. There's a reason we're the capital of the Ark-La-Tex.
It's just the nearness of you.
Let's party! To ring in 1989, McDonald's double cheeseburger is just 89 cents.
I find that hard to believe.
Believe it. We're celebrating with a big taste of 2 all-beef patties and golden melted cheese.
Good grub.
Good double cheeseburger, and it's just 89 cents.
May I say, this is going to be a lovely year.
Thank you, Eddie. So start 89.
Come on.
With a McDonald's double cheeseburger for just 89 cents.
And I get change back from $1, I think. To celebrate their grand opening, EyeMasters has asked me to announce their free offer. Right now, you get your frames for free. You can choose from over 600. They have free frames for people who are, conservative. Free frames for people who are hip. Free frames for the average Joe. Free frames for the average Joanne. They even have free frames for people with absolutely no taste whatsoever. Of course, there is one catch. You pay for the lenses, we pay for the frames.
Dress up that entire room with this elegant white iron daybed, now on sale for just $29. That's just one of an entire store full of bargains now at New York Furniture. We're selling this fine quality $1,000 sofa and matching love seat in your choice of velvets for only $597. Buy today and don't make a payment until next April. And remember, buy this lovely white iron daybed for only $29. We're New York Furniture on West 70th and Shreveport, and we deliver anywhere.
Here are a few things going on around town. For a Cajun good time, don't miss the Holiday in Dixie Diplomats Party Friday. Rockin' Doopsie will be there. Tickets are $7.50 and you can get them at the door. The Expo Hall will be roaring to go this Friday as well. The World of Wheels opens at 5 o'clock. Tickets are $6 for adults and $3 for children. And the YWCA wants to help you get in shape. They're having a free program tomorrow on office exercising. It starts at noon at the Wise Central Branch.
You know, Liz, most people don't think much about doing yard work or planting this time of the year.
Sure, but our Ark-La-Tex Gardener says there is something you need to start thinking about now. Trees.
Folks, I know it doesn't look like much yet, but I tell you what, if you come back here on Merrick Street right here in Shreveport in the spring, this tree, this Bradford pear, will be beautifully outfitted in beautiful white blossoms. And also in the fall, it's one of the most gorgeous trees in the fall, beautiful gold and red leaves. And believe it or not, in the middle of January, we are fixing to plant this tree because Bob Chamberlain of Chamberlain's Nursery right over in Bossier City says January is probably the best month of the year to plant a tree. Bob, why is that?
Well, the tree is dormant. The sap is down, and this is the time you should be planting your trees.
Okay, now when you say dormant, it's not dead.
It's not dead. It's just the sap is going down, and this means that this will encourage where the roots has been severed. That will encourage the roots when it starts warming up, that those roots will start breaking forth into the ground.
Okay, and even though the ground may be very, very cold, and in fact, eventually, sometime this month or next month, we may get a snow, that's not going to affect the tree?
Will not affect the tree at all.
Okay.
In fact, it's a good time.
Is it really?
Yeah.
This being a better time than the spring or summer because in the spring or summer, these trees are alive and they go through trauma when you move them around. Is that right?
It's true. And the reason is because the tree has all the foliage in the spring and in the summertime, and this is a time when the tree is totally dormant. Again, that's the time to plant your trees.
And what are we talking about? Just this month or what, the next couple of months?
January, February is good months.
Okay.
We like to plant them in these months.
Okay, are we talking about all kinds of trees? Practically any kind of tree, this is the time to do it?
All trees now's the time to plant.
Okay.
Between now and February.
And when is usually too late?
Of course, we plant the year round, but it's most ideal in the fall of the year after the sap has gone down.
Okay. Which would be like November,
December, January, February.
Do you have to worry about watering and fertilizing at this time of the year?
Every tree that we plant, we do not wait for it to rain. We water immediately.
Okay.
And I think, and that's the reason why you water the tree immediately is to get the air pockets out of the soil. If you have air pockets in the soil, this will give the trees normally problems later on up in the summer.
Are you using the same kind of fertilizer today as you would in June or July?
We use a root stimulant on every tree that we plant any time of the year.
Tree of this size, which is not a seedling, do you recommend that somebody get a professional to do this kind of transplantation, or can most people do this on their own?
I think when they're buying trees that are this size, that we call ball and burlap, it should be done by a professional, because you're spending a lot of money, and it's better to have the professional. He stands behind the tree, and it would be to the homeowner's advantage to have the professional do it.
All right, Bob, I thought you might say that. The other bad thing about, I guess, planting in January, February is you get sleeted on. Believe it or not, folks, it is sleeting out here. But as odd as it may seem, this is the time to plant that beautiful tree in your front yard. January, February, maybe early March. That's all the time we have. We'll see you again next week. Remember, until then, keep them growing.
And Louisiana is coming close to being the next Hollywood. Movie makers have picked another central Louisiana town to be the site of a major motion picture. This time it's Winfield who'll be basking in all the glory. The movie's called Blaze, and it's based on the life of Earl K. Long. It's being made by Walt Disney Productions, and filming starts March 15th and should take about 10 weeks. They'll also be taping in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And Winfield ladies, hold on to your hearts, because the star of the movie is Paul Newman. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Really start flocking there soon. But I'll tell you what, rain is going to be around for a while, keep things soggy. So if you develop web feet, don't blame me.
Oh, bless your heart.
What's coming up tonight at 6?
We'll tell you in a minute, so stay here.
For more information, call the National Captioning Institute, 1-800-533-WORD.
Here are some of the stories you'll see at 6.
Cyril Hoffman wants to go to Broadmoor Middle School next year. I'm Gwen Campbell, and in a special report at 6, I'll tell you why she can't.
If not higher taxes, then what else will take the squeeze off of state and local governments? I'm Signora Thomas. I'll have the story tonight at 6.
The Surgeon General has issued his 25th anniversary findings on the dangers of smoking. World News Tonight is next.